The information provided in this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute professional marketing, legal, or financial advice. Email marketing involves compliance with various federal and state regulations, such as the CAN-SPAM Act, and results can vary significantly based on industry, audience engagement, and execution. The case studies and historical trends mentioned are intended to illustrate potential outcomes, rather than serve as a promise of specific results. Viewers are strongly encouraged to conduct their own due diligence and consult with qualified legal or marketing professionals before implementing any strategies discussed in this program. Your business is currently being held hostage by a silent thief, and you might not even realize it yet. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning to find that your primary source of customers has simply vanished. Your Instagram account is disabled without explanation, your Facebook ad costs have tripled overnight due to an algorithm shift, or the search engine rankings you spent years building have plummeted because of a single update. For thousands of American entrepreneurs every single month, this is not a hypothetical scenario. It is a business-ending reality. We are living in an era of rented land, where we build our empires on platforms we do not own, subject to rules we did not write, and at the mercy of CEOs who do not know our names. But there is a gateway to a different kind of stability. There is one digital asset that remains the undisputed king of return on investment, boasting historical trends that show an average return of $36 to $42 for every single dollar spent. It is the only direct line of communication you truly own. While social media is a party you are invited to, your email list is the house you own. In this deep dive masterclass, we are breaking down the absolute foundations of email marketing to ensure that you never have to worry about an algorithm change standing between you and your revenue ever again. For the American entrepreneur, the market is more crowded and competitive than it has ever been in the history of commerce. Whether you are running a boutique e-commerce shop in Austin, a consulting firm in New York, or a local service business in the Midwest, you are fighting for a finite amount of attention. The core problem we solve today is the transition from being a reactive business owner to a proactive one. Most entrepreneurs spend their days chasing new leads, pouring money into the top of the funnel, while their existing leads leak out of the bottom like water through a sieve. Email marketing is the sealant. It is the strategic process of using digital correspondence to nurture relationships, provide value, and move prospects through a journey from complete strangers to loyal brand advocates. To truly understand what email marketing is in 2026, we have to look past the surface-level definition. Many people mistakenly believe that email marketing is simply sending out a newsletter. That is a dated perspective that often leads to mediocre results. In reality, modern email marketing is a sophisticated system of behavioral triggers, segmentation, and automated storytelling. It is the digital equivalent of a high-touch sales representative who knows exactly when to follow up, what to say, and how to provide the specific piece of information a customer needs at that exact moment in their buying journey. Historical trends from the Direct Marketing Association have consistently shown that email outperforms every other digital channel, including social media, search engine optimization, and display advertising, when it comes to conversion rates. Let's look at the sheer data that dictates why this is the foundational pillar of U.S. business growth. According to recent industry reports, there are over 4 billion daily email users worldwide, and in the United States, nearly 90% of adults check their email at least once a day. More importantly, a significant portion of those consumers report that they actually prefer to receive brand communications via email rather than through social media feeds. This is because the inbox is a high-intent environment. When someone opens their Instagram feed, they are often looking for entertainment or distraction. When they open their inbox, they are in a task-oriented mindset. They are prepared to read, to process information, and critically to take action. To grasp the depth of this strategy, we must examine the concept of permission-based marketing. This term, popularized by industry pioneers, is the cornerstone of why email works. Unlike a television commercial that interrupts your favorite show or a pop-up ad that blocks the article you are trying to read, email marketing is an invited guest. When a lead gives you their email address, they are granting you a digital key to their most personal online space. This is a profound level of trust. In the American market, where privacy concerns and data security are at the forefront of the consumer's mind, treating this permission with respect is what separates the successful entrepreneurs from the ones who end up in the spam folder. Let's break down the mechanics of how this works for a typical American startup. Imagine a case study of a mid-sized software-as-a-service company, They might use social media ads to attract attention to a free guide or a webinar. Once the prospect enters their email address to receive that value, the email marketing system takes over. This isn't just one thank you note. It is a sequence of highly curated touchpoints. The first stage is the welcome sequence. This is where you set the tone. Data suggests that welcome emails have the highest open rates of any email type, often exceeding 50 or 60%. This is the moment of peak interest. A professional scriptwriter or marketer doesn't just say thanks for joining. They use this space to tell the brand story, to handle common objections before they are even raised, and to deliver immediate wins to the subscriber. The second stage involves segmentation. This is the act of dividing your list into smaller groups based on their interests or behaviors. For example, if you run an apparel brand, you wouldn't want to send an email about men's winter coats to a customer who has only ever bought women's summer dresses. By segmenting your audience, you increase the relevance of your messages. Historical data shows that segmented campaigns can lead to a 760% increase in revenue compared to one-size-fits-all blasts. This level of personalization is what US consumers now expect. They don't want to be treated like a number. They want to be treated like an individual with unique needs. The third stage is automation. This is the engine of the modern entrepreneur. Through the use of customer relationship management tools and email service providers, you can set up workflows that trigger based on specific actions. If a customer puts an item in their cart but doesn't check out, an automated abandoned cart email can be sent 1 hour later. This single automation has the potential to recover 10 to 15% of lost sales for e-commerce businesses. If a subscriber hasn't opened an email in 30 days, a re-engagement sequence can be triggered to either win them back or clean them off the list to maintain a high sender reputation. As we go deeper into this guide, you will realize that email marketing is not about high-pressure sales. It is about the Rule of 7, a long-standing marketing principle which suggests that a prospect needs to hear an advertiser's message at least 7 times before they'll take action to buy. In the fast-paced American digital economy, those 7 touches are increasingly difficult to achieve on social media due to declining organic reach. Email provides a reliable, cost-effective way to achieve those touches. Furthermore, we must address the technical backbone of this industry. Email marketing is a blend of psychology and technology. You have to understand deliverability, the science of actually getting your message into the primary inbox rather than the promotions tab or the spam folder. This involves managing your sender reputation, which is a score assigned to you by internet service providers like Gmail, Yahoo, and Outlook. If you send high-quality content that people engage with, your reputation goes up. If you send unsolicited spammy content, your reputation drops, and your emails disappear into the void. This is why buying email lists is a cardinal sin in professional marketing. It destroys your reputation and yields virtually zero return on investment. By the end of this series, you will understand how to build a list of high-quality leads, how to craft copy that compels action without being sleazy, and how to analyze your data to continuously improve your outcomes. This is the first step in moving from a fragile business to a resilient one. You are about to learn how to build a direct pipeline to your customers that no algorithm can ever take away. This is about taking back control. This is about the long game of American entrepreneurship. Let's dive into the first pillar of your email empire. To begin building this empire, you must first understand the foundation upon which every successful email campaign is built. In the year 2026, the technical landscape has shifted, and the days of simply hitting send are long gone. The first pillar of your email marketing strategy is the selection and implementation of an email service provider, or ESP. For an American entrepreneur, this is the most critical infrastructure decision you will make this year. You might be tempted to use your personal Gmail or Outlook account to reach your first few hundred customers, but historical trends show this is a recipe for catastrophic failure. Personal email accounts are designed for one-to-one communication. When you attempt to send bulk messages through these channels, you trigger sophisticated security protocols designed to combat spam. This leads to your domain being blacklisted, ensuring that even your private messages to friends and family will never see the light of day. An ESP is a specialized software platform that allows you to manage your list, design your messages, and most importantly, navigate the complex world of deliverability. In 2026, providers like Klaviyo, Behave, and ConvertKit have integrated advanced machine learning to help you optimize your send times and subject lines. But the choice of platform depends entirely on your business model. If you are running an e-commerce brand based in Seattle, You need deep integration with your storefront to track every purchase and abandoned cart. If you are a creator in Nashville, you might prioritize a platform that handles paid newsletter subscriptions and community building. The cost of these platforms is an investment in your data integrity. They provide the necessary technical frameworks, such as SPF, DKIM, and MARC records. These are the digital fingerprints that tell receiving servers that you are a legitimate business and not a malicious actor. Without these protocols correctly configured, even the most beautiful email in the world is just digital noise that will be swallowed by a spam filter. Once your engine is in place, we move to the most psychological part of the process, the lead magnet. Imagine if you were walking down a busy street in Chicago and a total stranger asked for your home address. You would likely walk away as fast as possible. However, if that same stranger offered you a valuable map of the best hidden gems in the city in exchange for your contact information, the dynamic changes. This is the value exchange. In 2026, the American consumer is more protective of their data than ever before. To earn a spot in their inbox, you must offer an ethical bribe that is so valuable they would be willing to pay for it, yet you are giving it away for free. Let us look at a case study of a hypothetical entrepreneur named Sarah, who runs a sustainable home goods business in Denver called Evergreen Living. In the early stages of her business, Sarah had a simple sign-up box on her website that said, "Join our newsletter for updates." This resulted in an opt-in rate of less than 1%. After studying historical trends in consumer behavior, Sarah shifted her strategy. She developed an interactive AI-powered sustainable home audit. Visitors to her site would answer 5 questions about their daily habits, and in exchange for their email, they received a personalized 5-page report on how to reduce their carbon footprint and save an average of $200 on their monthly utility bills. This lead magnet was specific, actionable, and timely. As a result, her opt-in rate climbed to 12%. This is the difference between asking for a favor and offering a solution. For your American business, your lead magnet could take many forms. Historical trends indicate that while the classic PDF ebook still has some merit, interactive content is the dominant force in 2026. This includes things like calculators, quizzes, templates, or exclusive video masterclasses. If you are a real estate agent in Austin, don't just offer a list of homes. Offer a cost of living calculator that compares different neighborhoods based on the user's current salary and lifestyle. If you are a B2B consultant in New York, offer a checklist that helps companies audit their own workflow for hidden inefficiencies. The key is that the lead magnet must solve a specific problem for a specific person immediately. It should be the first step in a larger journey that eventually leads to your paid products or services. Once you have your lead magnet, you need a place for it to live. This brings us to the landing page. This is a dedicated web page with one single goal: to get that email address. In the high-stakes world of US digital marketing, a landing page must be a masterpiece of conversion rate optimization. You have approximately 3 seconds to capture a user's attention before they scroll away. The headline must be punchy and benefit-driven. Instead of saying "download our guide," it should say "slash your energy bill by 30% with our 5-minute audit." You need social proof, such as testimonials from other customers who have benefited from your free resource, to build immediate credibility. Historical trends suggest that removing the navigation bar from your landing page can increase conversions by up to 100%, as it removes any distractions that could lead the user away from the sign-up form. Step by step, the process looks like this. First, you identify the single biggest pain point your target audience is facing right now. Second, you create a digital asset that provides an immediate, tangible win regarding that pain point. Third, you set up a landing page that communicates the value of this asset with extreme clarity. Fourth, you connect this page to your ESP so that the moment a user signs up, the asset is delivered automatically to their inbox. This automation is crucial. In our fast-paced society, if a customer signs up and has to wait 6 hours for their download, the momentum is lost and the trust is broken. Think about the potential outcomes of this system. If you drive 1,000 visitors to a poorly optimized site with no lead magnet, you might get 5 sales and 995 people who leave and never think of you again. However, if you drive those same 1,000 visitors to a high-converting landing page with a compelling lead magnet, you might capture 150 email addresses. Even if only 5 of them buy today, you now have 145 potential customers that you can continue to nurture, educate, and sell to for years to come without ever paying for another ad. This is how you build a moat around your business. But having the email address is only half the battle. Now that you have been invited into the house, how do you behave? How do you ensure that your first message creates such a powerful impression that they look forward to every subsequent email you send? Most entrepreneurs fail at the very first touchpoint, sending a generic automated message that kills the relationship before it even starts. There is a specific psychological framework for the first 48 hours of a subscriber's journey that determines whether they will eventually become a customer or hit the unsubscribe button. In the next part of this masterclass, we are going to pull back the curtain on the welcome sequence, the most profitable string of emails you will ever write, and how to use the power of the open loop to keep your audience addicted to your content. We will examine exactly how the top 1% of US brands structure their first 5 emails to build an unbreakable bond with their audience. The moment someone joins your list, you enter the honeymoon phase of marketing. In 2026, the first 48 hours are the most critical window of opportunity. You have to convert a casual browser into a dedicated advocate. This is where we implement the indoctrination sequence, also known as the welcome sequence. Think of this as the digital equivalent of a high-end concierge at a luxury hotel in Manhattan greeting a guest. If you ignore them, they feel undervalued. If you scream at them to buy something immediately, they feel harassed. But if you guide them, provide value, and set expectations, you build a foundation of trust that can last for a decade. Let us look at a case study of Marcus, an entrepreneur based in Miami, who launched a specialty fitness equipment brand called Aeropulse in early 2026. Marcus realized that his customers weren't just buying resistance bands, they were buying a lifestyle of mobility and health. When a user signed up for his free 7-day mobility reset guide, they didn't just get a link in silence. They entered a 5-part automated sequence designed to move them through a specific psychological journey. The first email in this sequence is the delivery and setting expectations email. Historical trends show that this email often achieves open rates of over 70% because the recipient is actively waiting for the asset you offered. Marcus's first email arrived within seconds. The subject line was simple: "Your 7-day mobility reset is here." Inside, he didn't just give the download link. He introduced himself briefly, explained why he created the guide, and most importantly, he told them what was coming next. He wrote that over the next 4 days, he would be sending them specific tips on how to avoid the 3 biggest mistakes most people make with home workouts. This creates an open loop in the subscriber's mind. They are now primed to look for his name in their inbox tomorrow. The second email, sent 24 hours later, is the origin story. This is where many American entrepreneurs fail by making the story entirely about themselves. In 2026, the consumer is the hero, not the brand. Marcus used this email to share his struggle with a back injury that almost ended his fitness journey. He didn't focus on his success. He focused on the frustration of not being able to play with his kids or stay active. By sharing this vulnerability, he became relatable. He transitioned from a faceless company to a person who understands the customer's pain. This email ends with a soft question, asking the subscriber what their biggest fitness hurdle is. This is a powerful strategy because when a subscriber hits reply, it sends a strong signal to email providers like Gmail that your content is valuable, which significantly boosts your future deliverability. The third email is the value pivot. This is where you provide a massive win without asking for anything in return. Marcus sent a video breakdown of a single 2-minute stretch that relieves neck tension for office workers. He didn't mention his products. He simply provided a solution to a common problem. Data from 2025 and 2026 indicates that this selflessness in the early stages of a relationship correlates with higher long-term customer lifetime value. You are establishing yourself as an authority and a generous resource. Imagine if a local consultant in Chicago offered you a free 20-minute audit of your tax strategy without any sales pitch. You would be much more likely to hire them when you actually need a full-scale service. This is the psychological principle of reciprocity in action. The fourth email introduces social proof through a case study. Marcus shared the story of a customer named Elena from Phoenix. He detailed how Elena went from constant knee pain to running her first 5K using the Aeropulse methodology. This isn't just a testimonial. It is a narrative. It allows the subscriber to see themselves in Elena's shoes. It provides evidence that the methods Marcus teaches actually work in the real world. By using a story from a specific city like Phoenix, Marcus makes the brand feel domestic and accessible to his US-based audience. Finally, the fifth email is the soft call to action. After 4 days of pure value, Marcus finally introduced his flagship resistance band set. But he didn't use high-pressure tactics. He framed it as the logical next step for someone who enjoyed the free 7-day mobility reset. He offered a limited-time 10% discount for new subscribers as a way to welcome them to the community. Potential outcomes of this specific 5-day sequence often include a 20 to 30% conversion rate from lead to first-time buyer within the first week. Now let's go deeper into the technical mechanics that make these emails work in 2026. You must master the art of the preview text. This is the small snippet of text that appears after the subject line in an inbox. Most entrepreneurs waste this space by allowing it to pull in text like view in browser or hi there. A professional scriptwriter knows that the preview text is an extension of the subject line. If your subject line is the one stretch you need, your preview text should be "It takes less than 2 minutes and you can do it at your desk." This combination is what drives the click. Furthermore, we need to discuss the concept of the double opt-in versus the single opt-in. In the United States, while single opt-in is legal under the CAN-SPAM Act, many elite entrepreneurs in 2026 are moving toward a confirmed or double opt-in process. This requires the user to click a link in a confirmation email before they are added to the list. While this might result in a slightly smaller list, the historical trends suggest that these subscribers are significantly more engaged, have higher open rates, and are less likely to report your emails as spam. For a business owner in a competitive market like Los Angeles or New York, a smaller, highly engaged list is infinitely more valuable than a massive list of people who never open your messages. As you build this sequence, you must also be mindful of the mobile experience. Statistics show that over 65% of all emails in the US are now opened on mobile devices. If your emails are cluttered with heavy images that don't load or small text that is hard to read, you are losing money. Your emails should be optimized for a one-handed scroll. This means short paragraphs, clear buttons for links, and a clean minimalist design that puts the copy front and center. Imagine the potential outcomes if you implement this today. Instead of a stagnant list of names, you have a living, breathing automated system that is building trust with hundreds of people simultaneously while you sleep. You are creating a professional presence that rivals Fortune 500 companies, even if you are operating out of a home office in suburban Ohio. This is the power of the indoctrination sequence. It turns the cold internet into a warm community. However, even the most perfect welcome sequence will fail if your emails never actually reach the inbox. There is a hidden world of technical filters, sender reputations, and algorithmic traps that can take a perfect marketing strategy and bury it in the spam folder forever. There is a silent war happening between marketers and email providers. And if you don't know the rules of engagement in 2026, you've already lost. In the next part of this masterclass, we are going to dive into the dark art of deliverability. We will explore the specific words that trigger spam filters, the technical settings you must toggle to prove you are a legitimate business, and how to stay on the good side of the internet's gatekeepers. If you want your voice to be heard, you cannot afford to miss what comes next. Deliverability is the invisible force that determines whether your business thrives or withers in the digital shadows. In 2026, the gatekeepers of the internet, primarily Google, Microsoft, and Apple, have implemented the most sophisticated filtering systems in history. These systems are no longer just looking for keywords like win or cash. They are analyzing your entire technical infrastructure and your historical behavioral footprint. If you do not have your digital house in order, you are essentially shouting into a void. To understand this, imagine you are David, a specialty coffee roaster in Portland, Oregon. David spent 3 years building a list of 15,000 local coffee enthusiasts. He followed all the traditional advice, providing great content and beautiful photos of his roasting process. But suddenly, in early 2026, David noticed his open rates plummeted from a healthy 35% to a staggering 4%. His sales dropped, his engagement vanished, and he couldn't figure out why. David hadn't changed his content, but the rules of the game had changed around him. He had fallen victim to a reputation crisis he didn't even know existed. The first technical hurdle you must clear is what experts call the technical trinity: SPF, DKIM, and MARC. These are not just acronyms. They are your digital passport. SPF, or Sender Policy Framework, is essentially an authorized guest list for your domain. It tells the receiving server exactly which IP addresses and services are allowed to send mail on your behalf. If you use a platform like Beehive but haven't updated your SPF record in your DNS settings, the receiving server sees a discrepancy and assumes you are a bad actor attempting a phishing attack. DKIM, or Domain Keys Identified Mail, acts as a digital seal on your envelope. It uses cryptographic authentication to prove that the email was truly sent by you, and crucially, that it hasn't been tampered with in transit. Finally, DMARC, which stands for Domain-Based Message Authentication, Reporting, and Conformance, is the set of instructions you give to receiving servers on what to do if your SPF or DKIM checks fail. In 2026, many major providers are beginning to outright reject mail from domains that do not have a P=quarantine or P=reject DMARC policy. For an American entrepreneur, ignoring these settings is the equivalent of trying to open a retail store without a business license. Eventually, the authorities will shut you down. Beyond the technical settings, we must address sender reputation. This is a score assigned to your domain and your IP address by every major inbox service provider. This score is dynamic and based entirely on historical trends of how users interact with your mail. High reputation senders have high open rates, high click-through rates, and, most importantly, high reply rates. Low reputation senders have high bounce rates, numerous spam complaints, and a list full of zombie subscribers who haven't opened an email in 6 months. David's problem in Portland was exactly this. He had been so focused on growing the size of his list that he never bothered to clean it. He was sending emails to thousands of people who had moved away, changed their email addresses, or simply lost interest. These unengaged users were sending a silent signal to Gmail that David's content was no longer relevant. As a result, Gmail began to throttle his delivery, moving his messages to the Promotions tab, and eventually the spam folder. To fix this, David had to implement a sunset policy, a critical strategy for any U.S. business owner in 2026. A sunset policy is a step-by-step automated process for removing unengaged subscribers. Historical trends suggest that maintaining a smaller, highly active list is far more profitable than maintaining a massive, bloated one. David's new strategy involved a 90-day window. If a subscriber did not open an email within 90 days, they were automatically moved into a re-engagement segment. They were sent a final 3-part sequence asking if they still wanted to hear from him. If they didn't click a link in those emails, they were permanently deleted from his list. While it was painful for David to see his list count drop from 15,000 to 9,000, the potential outcomes were immediate. Because he was now only sending to people who actually wanted his mail, his engagement signals skyrocketed. Within 60 days, his open rates returned to 40%, and his emails were consistently landing in the primary inbox again. Another factor that entrepreneurs often overlook is the concept of spam traps. These are email addresses that are no longer used by real people, but are maintained by providers to catch irresponsible senders. If you buy a list or use scraped data, you will almost certainly hit a spam trap. Once you do, your sender reputation is severely damaged, sometimes beyond repair. This is why the purity of your lead generation process is so vital. You must ensure that every person on your list actually asked to be there. In 2026, the use of BME, or brand indicators for message identification, has also become a major trust signal. This allows your verified brand logo to appear next to your name in the inbox. For a consumer in a crowded market, seeing that verified logo provides an immediate sense of security and significantly increases the likelihood of an open. Let's discuss the actual content of your emails and how it affects deliverability. In the past, marketers were obsessed with avoiding spammy words. While that still matters, the AI filters of 2026 are more concerned with the link-to-text ratio and the quality of your outbound links. If your email is just one giant image with no text, it looks like a cloaked message to a filter. If you use generic URL shorteners that are also used by scammers, you are guilty by association. Your emails should be primarily text-based, with images used as accents rather than the core message. You should also be wary of hidden technical debt, such as messy HTML code generated by old-school drag-and-drop builders. The cleaner your code, the easier it is for a filter to verify your intent. Imagine if you could turn your subscribers into your biggest allies in the war for deliverability. One of the most effective strategies in the current landscape is the reply-to hack. In your very first welcome email, you should ask your subscriber a simple, non-threatening question and ask them to hit reply. When a user replies to your email, it is the strongest positive signal you can possibly send to an ISP. It tells the system that there is a real relationship here. This single action can whitelist you for that specific user for life. David implemented this by asking his new subscribers, "How do you brew your coffee at home?" The hundreds of replies he received not only gave him invaluable market research, but also acted as a technical, get-out-of-jail-free card for his deliverability. But deliverability is just the permission to speak. Once you are in the inbox, the real challenge begins. You have cleared the technical hurdles and proved you are not a bot. Now you have to prove you are worth reading. Most entrepreneurs struggle with what to actually say once the welcome sequence is over. They fall into the trap of only emailing when they have something to sell, which leads to a churn and burn cycle that destroys the very list they worked so hard to build. There is a specific rhythm to high-conversion email marketing, a balance between giving and asking that keeps subscribers engaged for years. In the next part of this deep dive masterclass, we are going to explore the engine of engagement. We will break down the specific types of broadcast emails that generate the most revenue in 2026, and how to use the soap opera sequence to create a narrative that makes your audience feel like they are watching their favorite show every time your name pops up in their inbox. We will reveal the secret to writing copy that sells without ever sounding like a salesman. The secret to high-conversion email marketing in 2026 lies in the transition from a transactional relationship to a narrative one. When an entrepreneur in the United States thinks about selling, they often default to the traditional commercial mindset. Here is my product, here is the price, and here is why you should buy it. But in a digital landscape where the average American consumer is exposed to thousands of marketing messages every single day, this approach is background noise. To cut through, you must utilize the soap opera sequence. This is a multi-day automated narrative designed to hook your audience into a story where they are the protagonist, and your product is the tool that helps them achieve their goals. Let us look at the case study of Jessica, a freelance graphic designer in Austin, Texas, who transitioned into selling digital brush kits for Procreate in 2026. Jessica knew that if she just sent an email saying "buy my brushes," her open rates would be dismal. Instead, she crafted a 5-day soap opera sequence that mirrored the emotional journey of her target audience. On day 1, she set the stage with a high-stakes conflict. She didn't talk about her product. She talked about the crushing frustration of spending 10 hours on a client project, only to have it rejected because the textures looked digital and soulless. She ended that email with a cliffhanger, hinting that she had discovered a way to replicate traditional oil painting textures on an iPad, but didn't reveal the method yet. This created an open loop that compelled her subscribers to look for her next email. On day 2, Jessica shared her back against the wall moment. She detailed the specific night she stayed up until 4 a.m., ready to quit her freelance career entirely. This is where historical trends in copywriting show that vulnerability creates a bridge of trust. By the end of this email, she reached her epiphany. She realized that the tools she was using were the bottleneck, not her talent. On day 3, she introduced the hidden benefits of her discovery. She didn't just list the features of her brush set. She explained how it allowed her to finish projects in half the time while increasing her rates by 40%. This shifted the focus from the cost of the product to the potential outcomes for the user. By day 4, Jessica integrated social proof. She shared the story of a student who used these specific brushes to land a cover illustration for a major magazine. This validated her claims through a third party. Finally, on day 5, she moved to the hard call to action. Utilizing the principles of urgency and scarcity, she offered a special launch price that would expire in 48 hours. Because she had spent 4 days building a narrative, her audience wasn't just buying brushes. They were buying the solution to the frustration she had articulated on day 1. Case studies of similar sequences in 2026 show that this story-first approach often results in a 300% increase in conversion rates compared to standard promotional emails. But what happens after the soap opera sequence ends? This is where the engine of engagement, or the broadcast email, comes into play. While your automated sequences are the evergreen machines working in the background, broadcasts are your live connection to the world. In the US market, the most successful entrepreneurs use a concept called infotainment. This is the art of providing genuine educational value or entertainment while subtly weaving in your business offerings. Imagine if you are a real estate agent in Miami named Carlos. You shouldn't just send a list of new property listings every week. That is a commodity. Instead, Carlos sends a Tuesday broadcast called the Miami Pulse. In it, he discusses how local zoning changes in a specific neighborhood might affect property values over the next 5 years. He provides data, he provides a map, and he provides his expert take. At the very bottom of that educational content, he includes a simple line. If you are looking to position your portfolio ahead of these changes, I have 3 off-market opportunities available this month. Click here to see the details. This is the story lesson offer framework. You start with a story or a piece of news, you extract a lesson that provides value to the reader, and then you make an offer that is a natural extension of that lesson. Historical trends in 2026 indicate that this structure maintains high engagement over long periods because the subscriber feels they are getting a free education. Even if they don't buy today, they continue to open the emails because the content is intrinsically valuable. For an American entrepreneur, the goal is to become a must-read in their niche. If your emails are the first thing your customers look for when they have their morning coffee, you have already won the battle for their attention. A critical component of this copy is the micro-conversion. Every email you send should have one single, clear goal. If you ask a subscriber to follow you on Instagram, check out your new blog post, and also buy your product, they will likely do none of those things. This is known as choice paralysis. In 2026, the most effective emails focus on a single call to action. Whether it is clicking a link to a video, replying to the email, or visiting a checkout page, the entire email should be a slide that leads the reader to that one specific action. To refine this further, we must discuss the PAYS framework: problem, agitation, solution. This is a psychological staple of American advertising that remains incredibly effective in the current year. You start by identifying a specific problem your subscriber is facing. For instance, if you are a productivity coach, the problem might be the feeling of being overwhelmed by an endless to-do list. You then agitate that problem by describing the consequences: the missed family dinners, the rising stress levels, and the lack of progress on your true goals. Finally, you present your product or service as the solution that resolves that tension. This framework works because it meets the customer where they are emotionally before offering a way out. Step by step, to implement this engagement engine, you should first map out a calendar that balances value and promotion. A typical winning frequency in 2026 for a US-based brand is 3 emails per week. One might be a purely educational piece of infotainment, one might be a case study or testimonial story, and the third might be a more direct promotional offer. This rhythm ensures that you are adding more value to the relationship than you are taking out in the form of sales. Think about the potential outcomes for your brand if you master this. You stop being a pest in the inbox and start being a partner. You build a brand that is resilient against price wars because your customers have an emotional connection to your story. However, sending the same story to every person on your list is a waste of your most valuable asset. Not every subscriber is at the same stage of their journey. Some are ready to buy today while others need months of education. Some are interested in your high-ticket consulting, while others only want your entry-level digital products. If you treat them all the same, you are leaving the majority of your potential revenue on the table. This leads us to the most advanced and lucrative aspect of modern email marketing. In 2026, the blast is dead, and relevance is the only currency that matters. To truly scale an American business to the 7- or 8-figure level, you must master the art of segmentation and behavioral triggers. There is a way to make your email system so intelligent that it automatically sends the right message to the right person based on every click they make and every page they visit. In the next part of this masterclass, we will dive into the invisible salesman, how to use tagging and segmentation to personalize your marketing at scale, so that each subscriber feels like you are writing exclusively to them. We will show you exactly how to track user behavior to trigger the perfect offer at the perfect time. In the world of 2026, the concept of a list is rapidly being replaced by the concept of an ecosystem. Most entrepreneurs in the United States still treat their email list like a giant bucket where they pour every lead into one single container and hope for the best. This is the spray and pray method, and historical trends show it is the fastest way to drive your engagement into the ground. To operate at a world-class level, you must understand that your list is not a monolith. It is a collection of individuals at vastly different stages of their customer journey. This is where segmentation and behavioral triggers come in, transforming your email platform into an invisible salesman that works with surgical precision. Imagine a case study of a business owner named Brian who operates a high-end fitness and wellness brand out of Denver, Colorado. Brian sells 3 primary things: premium yoga mats, heavy-duty powerlifting racks, and organic vegan supplements. In the old way of doing things, Brian would send a single weekly newsletter to his entire list of 20,000 people. One week he might promote a new floral-patterned yoga mat. While his yoga-loving subscribers might be interested, his powerlifting audience feels alienated. They are looking for chalk and iron, not floral patterns. When they receive irrelevant content, they don't just ignore the email. They begin to train their brain to ignore Brian's name in the inbox entirely. This is known as cognitive filtering, and it is the silent killer of American small businesses. To solve this, Brian implemented a tagging and segmentation strategy. In 2026, Your email service provider allows you to attach invisible labels, or tags, to every subscriber based on their actions. Step by step, Brian's system now works like this. When a new subscriber joins his list, they are asked a single question on the thank you page. What is your primary fitness goal? Depending on whether they click yoga, strength training, or nutrition, a tag is instantly applied to their profile. This is the first level of segmentation, interest-based. But Brian didn't stop there. He implemented behavioral triggers based on site activity. If a subscriber who is tagged as a powerlifter visits the website and spends 3 minutes looking at the new barbell collection but doesn't buy, the system recognizes this high-intent behavior. It automatically triggers a specific browse abandonment email 2 hours later. This isn't a generic sales pitch. It is a highly relevant message that says, I noticed you were checking out the new 45-pound plates. Did you know they are calibrated to within 10 grams of the stated weight? Here is a video of our stress test process. Historical trends in the U.S. e-commerce sector show that these behavioral-based emails can generate up to 5 times more revenue per send than a standard promotional broadcast, because the relevance is at an all-time high. For the American entrepreneur, the most powerful segments you can build in 2026 are based on life cycle stages. You should have at least 4 distinct buckets. First, the prospects, people who have joined your list but have never made a purchase. Your goal here is to build trust and overcome initial objections. Second, the first-time buyers, people who have made one purchase. Your goal is to ensure they have a world-class experience and move them toward a second purchase. As data suggests, a customer who buys twice is significantly more likely to become a lifelong advocate. Third, the VIPs, the top 20% of your customers who generate the majority of your revenue. These people should receive exclusive early access to new products and personalized thank you notes. Fourth, the churn risks, people who haven't opened an email or visited your site in over 60 days. Let us look at how you can use dynamic content to manage these segments without creating dozens of different emails. In 2026, professional email tools allow you to use if/then logic within a single email template. Imagine you are sending your weekly Tuesday newsletter. You can set a dynamic block at the top of the email. If the subscriber is a VIP, they see a headline that says, "Thanks for being a gold member. Here is your exclusive insight." If the subscriber is a prospect, they see a headline that says, "New here? Here is why 5,000 athletes trust us." To the subscriber, it feels like a one-on-one letter. To you, it is a single automated campaign that scales infinitely. The potential outcomes of this level of personalization are profound. When you speak to a customer's specific needs, your open rates don't just stay steady. They actually grow over time. People stop seeing your emails as marketing and start seeing them as a curated resource. For a business in a crowded market like San Francisco or New York, this relevance is your only defense against the rising costs of customer acquisition. You are no longer paying to find your customer over and over again on social media. You are deepening the relationship with the customers you already have. Now, let us get into the technical step-by-step of setting up your first behavioral trigger. Step 1. Identify your most valuable conversion action. This is usually adding an item to a cart or visiting a specific high-ticket service page. Step 2. Ensure your email service provider's tracking script is installed on your website. This is a small piece of code, similar to a Facebook pixel, that bridges the gap between your site and your inbox. Step 3. Create a trigger in your automation builder that says, when a user visits URL X but does not reach URL Y, the thank you page, wait 2 hours. Step 4. Draft a 3-email sequence that provides value related to that specific product or service. Step 5. Set a goal for the automation so that as soon as the purchase is made, the user is automatically removed from the sequence. This ensures you never send a sales email for a product the customer literally just bought, a mistake that screams amateurism. By 2026, artificial intelligence has also introduced predictive segmentation. Many advanced platforms can now analyze the behavior of your entire list to identify which subscribers are most likely to buy in the next 7 days. As an entrepreneur, you can create a segment of these high-probability leads and send them a slightly more direct offer or an invitation to a live demonstration. This is not about guessing. It is about using the historical trends of your own data to make informed decisions. Think about the implications for a service-based business, like a law firm in Atlanta or a consulting agency in Chicago. If a lead downloads a white paper on intellectual property, they are tagged as being interested in IP law. Instead of receiving your general firm updates, they receive a targeted sequence of case studies specifically about IP victories. This is how you win the high-stakes game of professional services in the United States. You demonstrate that you understand their specific problem before they even have a chance to explain it to you. But all the segmentation and triggers in the world won't matter if you are looking at the wrong numbers. Many entrepreneurs get distracted by vanity metrics like total list size or total number of emails sent. In the high-velocity American market, these numbers are meaningless if they don't translate to the bottom line. You need to know which metrics actually move the needle and which ones are just making you feel good while your business plateaus. In the next part of this masterclass, we are going to dive into the analytics of authority. We will break down the 3 numbers that actually matter in 2026, how to spot the hidden health of your list, and the one metric that most entrepreneurs completely ignore, which could be costing you thousands of dollars in lost revenue every single month. We will show you how to read between the lines of your data to predict your future sales. Most entrepreneurs are staring at the wrong dashboard every single morning. They log into their email service provider, see a 25% open rate, and feel a sense of accomplishment. In 2026, that number is a statistical ghost. If you are basing your business decisions on open rates alone, you are navigating the high-stakes American market with a broken compass. To truly master the analytics of authority, you have to look deeper into the data to understand the psychological health of your audience. The first hard truth we must face is the Apple Mail privacy protection, and the subsequent privacy updates from Google and Yahoo that have fundamentally altered how data is reported. Since 2021 and continuing into our current landscape, these providers often prefetch images and open emails in the background on their own servers to protect user privacy. This means your open rate is likely inflated by 15 to 30%. It is a vanity metric that does not pay the bills. To find the true pulse of your business, we must focus on the click-to-open rate, or CTOR. This is the gold standard of engagement in 2026. While the open rate tells you how many people saw your subject line, the CTOR tells you how many people actually found your content valuable enough to take action. Imagine a case study involving an entrepreneur named Jason, who runs a boutique software development agency in San Jose. Jason had a list of 50,000 subscribers and was boasting a 30% open rate. Yet his sales were stagnating. When we audited his analytics, we found his CTOR was less than 1%. People were opening his emails because of his catchy subject lines, but they were immediately closing them because the content didn't match the promise of the headline. By shifting his focus to CTOR, Jason realized he needed to stop being a clickbait artist and start being a value provider. He restructured his emails to lead with a single clear insight followed by a high-value link. Within 4 months, his CTOR climbed to 8%, and his revenue followed the same trajectory. Historical trends indicate that for a healthy US-based business, a CTOR of 6 to 10% is the benchmark for success. If you are below 3%, your content is not resonating with the segment you are sending it to. This is where you must look at the math of your business through the lens of earnings per subscriber, or EPS. This is a metric that most small business owners completely ignore, yet it is the most accurate predictor of your future stability. To calculate your monthly EPS, you take your total revenue generated from email and divide it by the total number of active subscribers on your list. Let us look at the potential outcomes of this calculation. If you have 10,000 subscribers and you generate $10,000 in sales per month, your EPS is $1. If you know that every person who joins your list is worth an average of $1 per month, you can then calculate exactly how much you can afford to spend on ads to acquire a new lead. If it costs you 50 cents to get an email address through a Facebook ad, and that person is worth $1 a month, you have a sustainable and scalable growth engine. If your EPS is only 10 cents, you know that you have a conversion problem, not a traffic problem. This clarity allows you to stop guessing and start operating like a data-driven CEO. Step by step, you should conduct a weekly audit of your list decay, or churn rate. In the United States, the average email list loses about 22% of its value every year. People change jobs, they switch from personal Gmail accounts to professional ones, or they simply lose interest in a specific hobby. If your list is not growing by at least 25% per year, your business is technically shrinking. You must track your unsubscribe rate alongside your spam complaint rate. In 2026, a spam complaint rate of even 0.1% is enough to get you flagged by major providers. This is why having a visible and easy-to-find unsubscribe link is actually a defensive business strategy. You want the people who are no longer interested to leave quietly rather than hitting the spam button out of frustration. Furthermore, we must discuss the halo effect of email marketing. Historical trends show that for every dollar tracked directly to an email click, There is often an additional 30 to 40 cents of dark social or direct traffic revenue that email influenced but didn't get credit for. This happens when a customer in New York opens your email on their phone during a commute, doesn't click, but then goes home later that evening on their laptop and types your website address directly into the browser to make a purchase. To capture this data, you must become a master of UTM parameters. These are small snippets of code you add to the end of your links that tell your Google Analytics exactly which campaign, which medium, and which specific email drove the sale. Without UTMs, you are flying blind. Imagine if you could see exactly where people are clicking within your email. In 2026, heat mapping tools for email allow you to see the hot zones of your layout. You might discover that 60% of your clicks are coming from a link in the first paragraph, while the big, beautiful button you designed at the bottom is being completely ignored. This data allows you to optimize your design for human behavior. American consumers are notorious for scanning rather than reading. If your most important call to action is buried under 3 paragraphs of text, you are leaving money on the table. We also need to look at the time to conversion metric. This tracks how long the average person stays on your list before they make their first purchase. If your data shows that most people buy between day 14 and day 21, but your welcome sequence ends on day 5, you have a massive gap in your marketing. You are stopping your sales effort just as the customer is getting ready to pull out their credit card. By extending your automated sequences to cover that peak buying window, you can significantly increase your total yield without increasing your workload. The historical data is clear. The most successful entrepreneurs in the United States do not have the largest lists, they have the most responsive ones. They understand that a list of 1,000 superfans who click on everything is worth more than a list of 100,000 people who never engage. This leads us to the final, most sophisticated part of the analytics puzzle: attribution. In a multi-channel world, how do you know if the email was the thing that actually closed the deal? As we move forward, you have to realize that all of this data, all of these clicks, and all of these high-level strategies are governed by a strict set of rules. The United States government and international bodies have laid out a digital minefield of laws designed to protect consumers. If you step on one of these mines, it doesn't matter how good your CTOR is. Your business could be shut down overnight with massive fines. There is a specific legal framework you must follow to stay in the game. In the next part of this deep dive masterclass, we are going to navigate the legal fortress of email. We will break down the CAN-SPAM Act of 2026, the updated requirements for one-click unsubscribes, and the essential elements every American entrepreneur must have in their footer to remain compliant and protected. We will show you how to turn legal compliance into a competitive advantage that builds even more trust with your audience. Operating a business in the United States in 2026 means navigating a digital legal landscape that has become significantly more complex than the Wild West era of early internet marketing. For an entrepreneur, ignoring the legal framework of email isn't just a technical oversight. It is a high-stakes risk that can lead to massive fines and the permanent blacklisting of your domain. The primary law governing our actions is the CAN-SPAM Act, which was updated in 2026 to reflect the new realities of artificial intelligence and advanced data tracking. While the acronym stands for Controlling the Assault of Non-Solicited Pornography in Marketing, its reach extends to every single commercial email you send, whether it is a bulk newsletter or a one-on-one sales pitch. To stay protected, you must understand that compliance is not an obstacle to your growth. It is the infrastructure that allows your growth to be sustainable. The first and most non-negotiable requirement in 2026 is the one-click unsubscribe. Historically, marketers would try to hide the unsubscribe link in tiny gray text or force users to log into a separate portal to manage their preferences. Those days are over. Under the latest industry mandates from Google, Yahoo, and federal regulators, every commercial email must include a clear, conspicuous way for the recipient to opt out with a single click. Furthermore, you are legally required to honor that request within 10 business days. However, elite American entrepreneurs in 2026 don't wait 10 days. They use automated systems that remove the subscriber instantly. This is because every day an unengaged person stays on your list against their will, the risk of them hitting the spam button increases exponentially. Historical trends show that brands with a frictionless unsubscribe process actually maintain higher overall engagement because they aren't forcing uninterested people to stay, which keeps their sender reputation pristine. Let us look at a case study of an entrepreneur named Amanda, who launched a high-end organic skincare line in Nashville, Tennessee. In her first year, Amanda was so afraid of losing subscribers that she made her unsubscribe link the same color as the background of her email footer. She thought she was being clever by keeping her list count high. However, the potential outcomes of this strategy were disastrous. Because people couldn't find the link, they did the only thing they could to stop the emails. They reported every message as spam. By the time Amanda realized what was happening, her spam complaint rate had hit 2%, 20 times higher than the industry-accepted threshold of 0.1%. Major providers began blocking her emails entirely, and she was forced to abandon her 3-year-old domain and start from scratch. Amanda's story is a cautionary tale for any U.S. business owner. Transparency is your greatest defense. The second pillar of the legal fortress is subject line integrity. The 2026 updates to marketing regulations have placed a heavy emphasis on preventing deceptive headlines. You cannot use a subject line like "your order is ready" if the recipient hasn't actually placed an order. You cannot use "re" or "forward" in the subject line to trick the reader into thinking the email is part of a previous conversation they were already having. In the United States, these tactics are considered bait-and-switch advertising. Instead of using deception, professional scriptwriters use curiosity and benefit-driven headlines that remain grounded in the reality of the email's content. If you are sending a newsletter about tax-saving strategies for small businesses, your subject line must clearly reflect that topic. Historical trends indicate that while deceptive subject lines might yield a temporary spike in open rates, they lead to a total collapse of trust and a significant increase in unsubscribes over the long term. Next, we must address the physical postal address requirement. Every email you send must include a valid physical postal address for your business. This is a common point of anxiety for American entrepreneurs working from a home office in the suburbs or a co-working space in a city like Seattle. You are not required to use your personal home address, which is a significant privacy concern. Most successful business owners in 2026 utilize a P.O. box or a commercial mail receiving agency, such as a UPS store or a specialized virtual office service. This satisfies the legal requirement to be reachable while maintaining your personal privacy. Including this information in your footer, alongside your brand name and a link to your privacy policy, signals to both the recipient and the email filters that you are a legitimate, registered business entity. We also have to consider the impact of state-level laws, such as the California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA, and its successors like the CPRA. Even if your business is based in Florida or Ohio, if you have a single subscriber residing in California, you must comply with their specific data privacy regulations. This includes the right for a consumer to know what data you are collecting about them, and the right for them to request that their data be deleted entirely from your servers. In 2026, the best practice for U.S. entrepreneurs is to adopt the highest standard of privacy across their entire list. This means being transparent about how you acquired the email address, whether through a lead magnet, a purchase, or a webinar registration, and ensuring you are not sharing or selling that data to third parties without explicit, granular consent. Step by step, to audit your own compliance, you should start at the bottom of your email template and move up. First, verify that your physical address is correct and current. Second, check that your unsubscribe link is visible, functional, and takes the user to a simple confirmation page. Third, review your from field. You must clearly identify who is sending the email. Using a vague name like the team or news can be flagged as deceptive. Your from name should be your brand name or a specific person's name followed by the brand, such as Sarah from Evergreen Living. This builds personal connection while maintaining legal clarity. Imagine if you could turn this legal necessity into a trust-building asset. In 2026, forward-thinking American brands are including a short, "Why am I receiving this?" note in their footer. It might say, "You are receiving this because you signed up for our sustainable home audit on January 15th. This simple sentence immediately reminds the subscriber of the value exchange they participated in and significantly reduces the likelihood of accidental spam reports. It shows that you respect their inbox and are keeping careful records of your permissions. Historical trends in 2026 have also shown the rise of the privacy-first marketing movement. Consumers are increasingly aware of their digital footprint and are more likely to engage with brands that prioritize data security. By clearly linking to a robust, plain English privacy policy in every email, you are not just checking a legal box. You are positioning your brand as a professional and ethical leader in your industry. This is particularly important for entrepreneurs in sensitive niches like professional consulting, local services, or high-ticket coaching, where trust is the primary driver of the sale. As we move toward the final stages of this masterclass, you now have the infrastructure, the strategy, the analytics, and the legal protection in place. You are operating at a level that most of your competitors haven't even considered. But there is one final piece to the puzzle that separates the million-dollar email lists from the ones that merely survive. In 2026, the ultimate competitive advantage isn't just technology. It is the psychology of the hyper-personalized customer journey. There is a way to use all of these tools to create a brand experience so immersive and relevant that it feels like you are reading your customer's mind. In the next part of this deep dive, we are going to explore the future of automation. We will reveal how to use AI-assisted copywriting and predictive behavioral modeling to stay 3 steps ahead of your audience's needs. We will show you how to build a self-optimizing engine that gets smarter with every single click. The evolution of automation in 2026 has moved far beyond simple if-then logic and entered the realm of predictive intelligence. For the American entrepreneur, this means moving from a reactive stance to a proactive one. We are no longer just responding to what a customer did yesterday. We are anticipating what they will need tomorrow. This is the era of the self-optimizing engine, where your email marketing system acts as a living, breathing extensions of your sales team. To understand the gravity of this shift, let us look at the case study of Alex, a founder based in Chicago who runs a high-growth subscription service for specialized gardening supplies called Urban Harvest. In the early 2020s, Alex used standard automation. If a customer bought tomato seeds, they received an email about tomato fertilizer 14 days later. This was effective, but it was linear and rigid. In 2026, Alex integrated predictive behavioral modeling into his stack. This system does not just look at the last purchase. It analyzes hundreds of data points, including the local weather patterns in Chicago, the frequency of the customer's logins to the Urban Harvest app, and the sentiment of their last 3 customer support interactions. When the system identifies that a customer's engagement is beginning to plateau, it does not send a generic discount code. Instead, it triggers a hyper-personalized check-in email that references the specific stage of the customer's growing season, offering a tailored piece of advice that reestablishes the brand as an indispensable partner. Historical trends show that this predictive approach can reduce churn rates by as much as 40% for subscription-based businesses. Step by step, building a self-optimizing engine starts with the unification of your data. You cannot have your email data in one silo and your website behavior in another. In 2026, you must use a customer data platform or a deeply integrated email service provider that tracks every micro-interaction. Once this data is flowing, you implement AI-assisted copywriting. This is not about letting a machine write your entire brand story. It is about using AI to create thousands of permutations of your core message. Imagine if you are sending a launch email for a new product. Instead of one subject line, your AI generates 50 variations. It then sends these variations to tiny slivers of your audience, perhaps 100 people each, and monitors the real-time engagement. Within 30 minutes, the system identifies which version is resonating most with specific demographics and automatically deploys the winning version to the rest of the list. This is multivariate testing on steroids, and it ensures that you are never guessing which message will perform best. Furthermore, we must discuss the concept of dynamic sentiment adjustment. In the high-velocity US market, a customer's mood can change in an instant. If a customer just had a negative experience with a delayed shipment, the last thing they want is an upbeat, high-energy promotional email 5 minutes later. In 2026, advanced automation platforms can pause marketing sequences for individual users based on support ticket status or negative sentiment detected in a reply. This prevents the brand from appearing tone-deaf and protects the long-term relationship. Once the support issue is resolved, the system can automatically resume the sequence with a personalized acknowledgement of the inconvenience. This level of sophistication is what separates the elite American brands from the noise. Let us go deeper into the technical mechanics of predictive send time optimization. Historically, marketers debated whether Tuesday at 10 a.m. was better than Thursday at 2 p.m. In 2026, that debate is irrelevant. Your automation engine now calculates the optimal send time for every individual subscriber based on their personal historical trends. If Sarah in New York consistently opens her emails at 6:30 a.m. during her subway commute, and Jordan in Los Angeles opens his at 9 p.m. after his kids are in bed, the system will deliver your message to each of them at those exact moments. This ensures that your email is at the very top of their inbox when they are most likely to engage. Potential outcomes of implementing individualized send time optimization. include a 15 to 20% lift in open rates across the board. But the real magic happens with predictive product recommendations. Imagine if you run a boutique e-commerce store in Austin, Texas. By analyzing the browsing patterns and purchase history of thousands of similar users, your system can identify that a customer who buys a specific style of leather boots is 65% likely to purchase a specific brand of leather conditioner within 30 days. Instead of waiting for them to search for it, your automation sends a helpful guide on how to maintain leather in high humidity environments like the South, subtly featuring the conditioner as the recommended tool. This is not seen as an advertisement, it is seen as a high-value service. To implement this yourself, you should follow this three-phase roadmap. Phase 1 is data collection. Ensure your tracking pixels are firing and your customer profiles are being enriched with every click. Phase 5 is pattern recognition. Use your ESP's built-in AI tools to identify which segments of your audience are your most frequent buyers and what their common paths to purchase look like. Phase 3 is automated execution. Build sequences that trigger not just based on what has happened, but based on the probability of what will happen next. For instance, if a user's engagement score drops below a certain threshold, trigger a win-back sequence automatically before they actually unsubscribe. As we look toward the future, the role of the entrepreneur is shifting from a content creator to a system architect. You are no longer writing emails, you are designing experiences. You are building a digital ecosystem that learns from its users and improves itself every single day. This is how you achieve true scale in the United States. You don't need a team of 50 people to manage a list of 1 million subscribers if your engine is self-optimizing. You only need a clear vision and the right technical foundation. However, even with the most advanced AI and predictive modeling in the world, there is one thing that a machine can never fully replicate: the final cohesive strategy that ties every part of this masterclass together into a single unstoppable revenue-generating machine. You have the hook, the welcome sequence, the deliverability, the analytics, the legal protection, and the futuristic automation. But how do you launch all of this at once? How do you take a brand new business from zero to a thriving email-driven empire in the shortest time possible? In the final part of this deep dive masterclass, we are going to pull every thread together into the grand blueprint. We will reveal the 90-day email mastery roadmap that you can follow to implement everything you have learned. We will show you the exact daily, weekly, and monthly rituals of the world's most successful email marketers to ensure your business remains at the top of the food chain for years to come. The final piece of the puzzle is about to fall into place. To execute the grand blueprint and move from a conceptual understanding to a high-performing revenue engine, you must approach the next 90 days with the precision of a software launch. The transition from a reactive entrepreneur to a master of email systems requires a structured roadmap that balances technical setup, creative output, and data-driven refinement. Historical trends show that businesses that follow a disciplined implementation phase are significantly more likely to see favorable potential outcomes in customer retention and lifetime value than those who attempt to piece the system together haphazardly. In the American market of 2026, where consumer attention is the scarcest resource, your execution must be flawless from day one. The first phase of your journey, encompassing days 1 through 30, is focused on foundation and first impressions. This is where you settle your technical debt. You must start by finalizing your email service provider and confirming that your technical trinity, SPF, DKIM, and DMARC, is fully authenticated. Imagine a case study of an entrepreneur named Liam, who runs a high-end consultancy for green energy firms in New York. Liam's first 30 days were dedicated to ensuring that his digital identity was ironclad. He didn't send a single marketing email until his DMARC policy was set to quarantine, signaling to every major inbox provider that he was a legitimate and secure sender. Once the pipes were clean, Liam focused on his primary lead magnet. Instead of a generic white paper, he developed a 2026 green energy compliance checklist. He spent the second half of the month building a high-converting landing page that utilized a single-field opt-in to minimize friction. By the end of day 30, he had his 5-part welcome sequence live. Every new lead who joined his list was immediately introduced to his brand story, his core values, and a series of high-value insights that positioned him as an authority in the New York energy sector. As you move into Phase 2, days 31 through 60, the focus shifts to the engagement engine. This is where you establish your broadcast rhythm and implement your first soap opera sequence. The goal during this period is to train your audience to open your emails. For a business in 2026, the historical data suggests that a frequency of 2 to 3 high-value touches per week is the sweet spot for maintaining top-of-mind awareness without inducing subscriber fatigue. Liam, our consultant from New York, began his infotainment series every Tuesday. He would share a story about a specific regulatory hurdle one of his clients faced, the lesson learned from that hurdle, and a soft call to action to book a discovery call. By day 60, he had also implemented a secondary automation triggered by clicks within his emails. If a subscriber clicked a link about solar tax credits, they were automatically tagged as solar interested and entered into a short, 3-part sequence specifically about that niche. This is the moment your list starts to feel like a personalized experience for the subscriber rather than a mass-market broadcast. The final phase of the initial roadmap, days 61 through 90, is centered on optimization and scaling. This is when you turn on the high-level features of your 2026 tech stack. You begin using predictive send time optimization to ensure your messages land when each individual subscriber is most likely to be active. You also conduct your first major split test. You might test 2 radically different subject line styles, one curiosity-based and one benefit-driven, to see which one generates a higher click-to-open rate for your specific audience. During this phase, you also implement your first sunset policy. You identify anyone who has joined in the last 90 days but has not opened a single email, and you move them into a re-engagement flow. If they remain inactive, you remove them. While it may seem counterintuitive to delete leads, historical trends prove that this list hygiene is what protects your deliverability and ensures that your messages continue to reach your most valuable customers. To maintain this system long-term, you must adopt the daily, weekly, and monthly rituals of elite marketers. Your daily ritual is simple but profound. Monitor and respond. Every morning, you should spend 15 minutes reviewing the replies to your emails. In 2026, the reply-to-send ratio is a massive signal for inbox placement. By engaging in two-way conversations with your subscribers, you are not only performing market research but also technically whitelisting your domain in their personal accounts. If a subscriber asks a question, answer it personally. If they provide feedback, acknowledge it. This human touch is the one thing AI-driven competitors cannot easily replicate at scale. Your weekly ritual is the analytics audit. Every Friday, you should review your click-to-open rates and your earnings per subscriber for the week's campaigns. You are looking for patterns. Did a specific story about a customer success lead to a spike in clicks? Did a certain subject line format cause an increase in unsubscribes? By documenting these microtrends every week, you build a proprietary playbook of what works for your unique brand and your specific US-based audience. You also use this time to draft and schedule your infotainment broadcast for the following week, ensuring that you are never writing under the pressure of a deadline, which is when quality and strategic alignment tend to slip. The monthly ritual is the strategy pivot and hygiene check. Once every 30 days, you must zoom out and look at the macro health of your ecosystem. You perform a deep clean of your list, removing bounced addresses and long-term inactives. You also review your automated sequences. In the fast-paced economy of 2026, a welcome sequence written 6 months ago might already be outdated due to new market trends or technological shifts. You update your lead magnets to ensure they are still solving the most current pain points of your audience. Finally, you review your customer journey to see where the biggest leaks are occurring. If you notice that people are opening your abandoned cart emails but not clicking through, you spend your monthly strategy session redesigning that specific touchpoint. Imagine the potential outcomes of this 90-day commitment. You have moved from a business that relies on the whims of social media algorithms to a business that owns its distribution channel. You have an automated salesman that works 24 hours a day, qualifying leads, handling objections, and closing sales while you focus on the high-level growth of your company. You are no longer shouting into the wind. You are whispering directly into the ears of people who have asked to hear from you. This is the ultimate competitive advantage for the modern American entrepreneur. It is the difference between a fragile hustle and a resilient empire. But as powerful as email is, it does not exist in a vacuum. In 2026, the most successful brands are those that can seamlessly bridge the gap between the inbox and the rest of the digital world. The email is the anchor, but the journey often continues across multiple platforms, from interactive video to augmented reality storefronts. The question then becomes, how do you take the deep psychological data you have gathered from your email list and use it to dominate your entire market presence? How do you turn a single email subscriber into an omnichannel brand advocate who sees your message everywhere they go, but never feels overwhelmed? We have covered the foundation, the mechanics, the psychology, and the roadmap of email marketing. You now have the keys to the most profitable kingdom in digital commerce. However, the world of 2026 is moving faster than ever, and there is a new frontier of conversion psychology that is beginning to emerge. This is the world of advanced behavioral influence, where we look at the subconscious triggers that dictate why people click, why they buy, and why they stay loyal for a lifetime. In our next masterclass series, we are going to dive deep into the architecture of persuasion, showing you how to combine your email engine with high-level sales psychology to create a brand that is truly unstoppable. The journey to mastery never ends, and the next level of your business starts with the very first click. Would you like me to begin outlining the next masterclass on advanced conversion architecture?